bring in Abdalle Mumin. He is a journalist and writer. He joins me now from the capital, Mogadishu. Good to have you on the show. Critics of the president, Farmaajo, say that he's using unconstitutional means to stay in power well beyond his term. Is that a fair assessment?
Thanks very much for having me to your program this evening from Mogadishu. The latest crisis has been, in fact, triggered by the statement which came from the president, whose term in office has expired a year ago, Mohamed Abdullahi Farmaajo, early this morning when he announced that he has suspended the Prime Minister. What we know is that the Prime Minister was the leading figure for the government of the election process. And this has already created a lot of tension in Mogadishu. As you said, yes, there are a lot of ongoing things. The president has been accused of conducting unconstitutional move, which forbids him to sack the prime minister. The prime minister on his side has came out with a very strong statement by saying that Mohamed Abdullahi Mohamad is a candidate, one of the more than 20 candidates vying for the presidential ballots. So he's asking now to step aside and be among the candidates who are now trying to run for the presidency. But let us not forget that the humanitarian crisis, alongside the insecurity that has already ravaged many parts of the country, and I made this kind of political standoff between the two sides of the government. There are a lot of other things. The election is long overdue, delayed, and people are now confused where the country will be heading after this crisis.
Abdalle, you mentioned the humanitarian crisis. You also mentioned the insecurity. Let me ask you about that. I mean, isn't this protracted political crisis going to be distracting from the growing threat of Al-shabaab? I mean, what's the feeling there?
You're right. Almost over 1 million people have been labeled as facing the worst humanitarian crisis. And the United Nations last week already announced that close to famine in Somalia. The international community has been a long time pressuring Somali authorities to fast-track the electoral process so that in early 2022, next year, the country could have a government which is legitimate, which can overtake its mandated tasks, including facilitating the humanitarian aid in the already very needy community and the vulnerable people who are facing this close to famine situation in Somalia. But unfortunately, that's not what's happening. We are seeing that a mounted political situation with combined with insecurity already, pro-government forces are now taking positions in different parts of the capital city, some of them supporting the prime minister and the others supporting the president. This is a situation which many localists and international community are really concerned about. People are already that banks may be closed in the coming weeks if the situation is not resolved. And this could also worsen the already fragile situation alongside the humanitarian crisis.
And we'll be keeping an eye on for that. All right, Abdalle Mumin, thank you for that.